There's a lot of analysis paralysis that's occurring now because everybody believes there's like a perfect list out there, but it just doesn't exist. And so what you want to do is do your best to get your based on that hypothesis, right? But you want to get the when you're using the phone, it's marketing, right? You're trying to solve the marketing equations. So you create a that's designed to actually start a two-way dialogue with the people on that list to determine, are they the right person at that company with a problem that aligns to what you think to solve for, and are they open to having a conversation at a later date?
In this episode of Outbound Fluff No Sales, we're going to share with you the exact way we would go discover product market fit at an early stage company if we were starting from scratch. If that sounds like you, stay tuned for this one. As always, hit subscribe if this is interesting. Drop a comment if you love or hate the show. I'm Ronen Pessar. This is Ryan Reisert, and we're the Outbound Operators.
Very fine. Why don't you go and take it to me one more time?
Get it started in here.
Should we bring...
And the bass keeps Ronen.
Is that Ronen and Ronen?
Yeah, they wrote the song for me.
I thought you were gonna bust out the 869. Very fine.
Let
me get you one more time. Get low, get low, get low, get low.
Oh my God! Oh, our audience just shrunk in half from 50 to 25 with that little booty
Now,
shake.
if you like that twerk, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And if you didn't, that's okay too.
I had AI make us like little John and the East Side Boys, and it was beautiful. It was beautiful. This is what it turned us into. That's you, Ryan, in the middle.
That's me in the middle. Is that you on the left and Andrew on the right?
That's me. That's Peck.
You guys look like you're in a boy band. I like
your crunk cup.
I look very tan. Jack Sands tan. It looks nothing like me. You kind of looks like you in the back and kind of like Andrew, but anyway.
All right, so Ryan, you're starting a new startup and you got some seed funding and you want to go, time is of the essence. So you want to go quickly to understand like where the hell your market really is, what the product you need to develop is, because you know you're onto something and you want to go hit that Series A, or maybe you've got an exit in mind. Take us through how you would set yourself up to get that kind of market feedback, that data, faster than, the typical, 12 to 24 month horizon between a seed and an A that most companies, if they even get to an A, it takes them that long. So what would you do? Take us through the setup.
Well, if you raised capital, there's a good chance, not always a chance, but there's a good chance that you probably have a hypothesis of the market you want to go after in the form of the types of companies that have a problem your product or service is, doing something for. So you would want to build a list of the companies that you believe have that problem. And here's the thing, there's a lot of analysis paralysis that's occurring now because everybody believes there's like a perfect list out there, or they believe there's a perfect message, or they believe there's a perfect channel, but it just doesn't exist. And so what you want to do is do your best to get your initial list created based on that hypothesis, right? And it's a hypothesis, it's an idea. So, and maybe there's several that you want to experiment with, but you want to get the list of accounts first, and then you would want to go and find the contacts. We've talked about this before, but you want to find the contacts within those accounts that are doing the work, the function. They have functional oversight. They're the leader of the role at that company responsible for getting the work done that your product or service is doing faster, cheaper, with less risk. What's going to make the money, save them from losing money, right? What gets them promoted versus, reduces the risk of getting fired, all these things, right? So you create the list. And then what you do is you stop listening to all the bullshit and you figure out on that list who you can actually reach on the phone if you call them. And then you call those folks. And here's the kicker. When you're using the phone, it's marketing, right? You're trying to solve the marketing equation. It's target plus message plus channel plus timing. And so you create a message that's designed to actually start a two-way dialogue with the people on that list to determine, are they the right person at that company with a problem that aligns to what you think to solve for? And are they open to having a conversation at a later date? This is what we call a completion. We reach the right person at the account. They have a general idea, the philosophy of why you're reaching out, and it's worth a future follow-up. Now, some of those people might schedule meetings, and that's great, but most of them are not going to. And we want to be able to capture, if not now, why, if not them, who, if not interested, why. right? You're looking for a yes, a no, and not me, and not now. And you're going to capture that information, and that's going to allow you to get an idea if you're on track. And now you can take the results from the completions that you're receiving and map that to the Ultimate Sales Machine's buyer's pyramid. Mr. Chet Holmes put this out there for you. So if you haven't read the book Ultimate Sales Machine, you should read it. And he talks about in any given market, any given time, there's so many people that are buying now, open to it, not thinking about it, don't think they're interested, not interested. No, they're not interested, right? That gives you a roadmap around tracking towards if you're on track or not, right? So if I go out and I get 20 completed conversations with my market, right, I can expect that 2 out of those 20 are probably going to be open to taking a meeting now, or at least very intrigued about wanting to learn more. They're asking great questions. There's intent to be making this purchase, right? That's 10%. These are people that are buying now and open to it. That's 2 out of 20. Then I can also expect that another 30% or around 6 of those are going to be kind of on the edge. Some of them we might pique their interest. Some of them might be like, they want to go find some information. Some of them might be kind of directing you towards saying it's not them, but they're not really thinking about it right now. It's a decent conversation. You're getting good information. And then another 12 out of 20 are going to tell us to fuck off, not interested. They already have a solution. And that's the expectations in the result. That's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to go out and get probably 100 to 200 of those in the matter of 2 to 4 weeks, not 10 to 12 months. And that's the key. It's speed.
So
it's getting that information compressed in a very short period of time.
Yeah.
Really stress testing the environment, not getting this 1-off, 2-off signal. I'm getting it compressed to the tune of 20, 30, 40 of these every single day.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to do.
Let's break that down real quickly because you said a lot in there that was super valuable. I'll start with the definition. The first definition is a completion. We actually have a whole video on this. A completion means you reached your intended target. They heard what it is that you do in a soundbite, very similar to what an ad is. They get a clear delivered message, and there's a documented outcome, a response that is usually in one of 4 buckets. Yes, no, not me, not now. And then what Ryan said is of those 4 buckets, you've got follow-up paths. Yes can become an activated lead. Yes, and a sales rep needs to follow up. Yes, and a meeting is booked. Those are your 2 yeses. No, why not if no? Not interested, never interested. There can be competition, other things. Not now, then when? And also try to understand, why is it not now exactly? Not me, then who? Those are the follow-up paths. It's all information. All of that is information. The problem with most outbound processes at this stage of development for companies, early stage, whether they're seed or A, even B, and they're trying to grow, you're focused on revenue. And so the logic goes, well, what's the next closest thing I can control with outbound and measure and get after that gets me to revenue? All right, well, maybe I work through a series of a few steps. Qualified opportunities, meetings. How do I get meetings? Emails, LinkedIn, cold calls. Problem is we're saying you're actually missing a whole bunch of data. Data that will actually give you way more insight into whether or not you're on the right track. Faster, too. And that data is a completion. A completion is this thing. I reached the right person, and now I have one of those 4 outcomes. And when you start to collect this data, and you do it with something like an engine that we build, one rep, one SDR, one cold caller can collect sometimes 15 to 20 completions a day of calling. And if you're getting that much feedback, think about this for a second. How many meetings are being held and turned into feedback and data, which is the current way early stage companies do it? I have to talk to the market in a scheduled interaction as a sales meeting. Or you're a super early stage founder who's doing this and you're like, I'm going to go position it as, I would love to pick your brain. I'm guilty of having done this years ago too. It's so cringy. I would love to just pick your brain. It's not a sales call.
Or we're looking for design. The new one is the design partners.
Design partners. It's not even new. It's just that it's a new way of selling it.
The playbook is getting burnt, but it does work. Hey, this isn't a sales call. We're just trying to get some feedback. Actually, going to speak with the product guys, not the sales guys.
And like you break this all down, and the final piece is start to think about this for a minute. Maybe a really good week, you hold 3 meetings. Maybe you're in the top tier.
Phenomenal week for most people.
3 meetings.
One of the founders we talked to, he's like, it's been dry up here. I can't remember the last time I had a real full sit down, right?
So think about this, all right? From your own position, you're going to use those meetings. Let's say you get 3 that show, and they're the right people, and you get some 30-minute interaction with someone. They see your demo, you get some feedback, maybe. Okay, go scale that out. At what point do you know that you're on the right product, right market, right persona, you're working on the right thing? Months and months and months later. Instead, if you stop focusing so much on the damn meeting and you pivot to, I had a 45-second interaction with somebody who understood very clearly what we did and then told me in 45 seconds of a 3-4 minute interaction, 45 seconds of a sound clip of them responding to why they are a no, a not me, a not now. What was the response? We did this with one client, thinking of Agent Co. We did this with a client, and they, in their first month of having 2 callers doing this, they've already had over 300 of these data points, full completed conversation with the right person, and they've already seen 30% of those are not nows. And when they're clearly articulating the prospect who they're selling to, this is a potential, it's an early stage product, potential high 5-figure, 6-figure product. What they have done is in a month, they've already identified there's a huge need for what they're building because people are already thinking about it. And they're slightly early, which is a good place to be for them because now they can develop and try to get a few early customers, some lighthouse customers, and then grow from there and be the early player in this market. You want to be early if you want to win a market. We know that from the immutable laws of marketing. That's rule number 1, right? There's only one winner pretty much, and then there's second place. If you want to be the best, you want to win, you want to dominate your market, you need to think about the element of speed. And to leverage speed to your advantage, forget about meetings, focus on conversations.
Speed and insights. I don't want to call them signals because we call that, we don't want to get
I hate that word.
into this thing. But it's this first party data collected through real conversations at the speed that is like unprecedented. And again, the average outbound program today, if you look at the benchmark reports from the Bridge Group circa last year, their 25 report was based on 24 data, so they haven't released their 26 report yet. But the outcomes are bleak, and we all know that it's not getting easier; it's getting more and more difficult for all channels to work out. So I'd be curious where things stand. But as of their 25 report, the median outbound SDR today makes 44 dials and has around 3 to 4 what they call meaningful conversations a day, which means their connect rate's off, by the way. Their reported stats, of course, is off. But let's say you can have 4 conversations a day. That is slow. That is not going to get you there, right? We just talked about the distribution of what to expect. And here's the problem with the median SDR when you're only having 4 conversations a day, and why most of them give up, by the way. It's not because it's hard to make more dials. It's just because they can't handle the cowabungas, which is that 12 out of 20 or 60%. Or if you're only having 4, 2 out of the 4, a little more than 2 out of the 4, that tell you to fuck off and say they're not interested. They give up early. And that is the majority of the result that they're getting. And so what they're doing is they're making changes to their hypothesis way too fast. Or, right, they're saying, hey, no one's really interested, no one's really interested, no one's really interested, when they haven't collected enough data in a short period of time to make a real decision yet. Right? I've only talked to 10 people over the course of an entire week, like actually talk to them, not getting hung up on, but like actually talk to them. Maybe if you use the reported set of 4 a day, now we're talking about 20 in a week. It seems high. We know that's high for most of these reps, but 20 in a week, or can you get 20 in a day? That speed and insight and understanding of what to expect within the breakdown of a market at any given time to know if we're on track or not is really key here. And most of the organizations are either making changes too quickly because they're saying everyone's saying no, because half of the results are no. Everyone's saying no, and I make an adjustment, or they're not adjusting fast enough because they don't have enough signals. Like, hey, just keep making more dials. Just make more dials. And that's the definition of insanity. What you want is a scientific method that helps you understand what is the expected result when we have the right message to market fit. And again, we're trying to solve a simple equation: target, message, channel, timing. So if I'm going to build this, I'm going to build it through a scientific method, if you will, right? One based on making assumptions, using data to measure, actually check that against expected results. So it's what's my expected result, which is my actual results, and then understand the 3 main levers we can pull: rep, list, message. Now, if I'm doing this myself too, I'm not putting this on people who've never done it before. I'm not putting it into a black box agency. I'm going to put this in the hands of experts that can actually do it right. So if I don't have the skills, I would be working with the likes of, I know I'm a little bit biased here, but the likes of the outbound operators or someone who's fucking done this before, or I'm doing it myself in the beginning as a founder, right? I would personally be making these calls, which means I'd have to have the system behind me that ensures that I can have a conversation every 3 to 5 dials, which is, again, the beauty of this. So that's a long-winded way to say, if you're going to get out there and bring your product to market, there aren't a lot of alternatives that are going to get you the speed and the insights you need that are based on real in-market information, not a spreadsheet that tells you these things, but I have a hypothesis. I just collected 100, 200, 300 real meaningful conversations with my market in a very short period of time. And then I make the adjustments and I make the adjustments and I make the adjustments. And if I'm on track, then I can pour some gasoline on it. That's when I would come behind and start to build out the infrastructure, the team, if necessary, and scale. But the reality is most people are not there yet, and they try to put the cart before the horse. They think that their spreadsheet is going to work out. They use benchmarks to make assumptions, and they never test what's actually happening right now in market with your message, with your audience. Can we even reach them? How receptive are they? And does it make sense mathematically to justify the CAC to go out and acquire those those conversations, not even customers yet today?
Y'all heard it here first. This is exactly how we would do it. You gotta take a step back and realize cold calling is data rich. Unlike any other channel, any other outbound channel you could ever get, maybe with the exception of going to events in person that might be slightly more data rich, but it's way more difficult to capture because the whole interaction till we all wear AI devices isn't being recorded. Ah, there's a new business idea. Wear an AI device while you're at an event.
Those are already all over the place. Yeah.
My doctor did that to me the other day. I told you about that. Anyway, think of how much data there is in a single interaction. First data point, did I get the right person? Second data point, is the information I had about them accurate? They're still at the company in the role as they're my target. Third data point, if I get to the pitch, how does it resonate? That tells me about the Chet Holmes buyer pyramid. Where do they fit in the pyramid? Is it a yes, no, not me, not now? And if it is a no, why? If it's a yes, what kind of a yes? You get so much information from a single touch point to be able to have one of these interactions 20% of the time you pick up the phone and dial. Scale that up. Someone could do 150 of these a day as their full-time job. That's basically what we are able to install for our clients, a rep who does that for them every day. You suddenly are learning rapidly. And generally, 65% of those connects are a completion. That's our North Star if you're looking for a benchmark. So if you have 40 connects a day, you could expect roughly like 20 to 25 of those being completions, which is why we usually try to target somewhere between 15 and 20 per rep as a completion rate per day. You learn fast, you pivot fast, you know if your message is on or off, you know if your targets on contacts are correct, if your accounts are correct. There's no better way to learn than speaking firsthand. Think of what is being offered out there in the market. What are the alternatives to something at this level of depth of data? They call it focus groups. That's the alternative today. You know how expensive focus groups are?
I thought weekend vibe coding would do it with Claude.
To run a focus group, when I was in college, I would sign up for these things to make like $200 here and there, random stuff. They'd be like, we are looking for like 20-year-olds who like video games. And I actually did like 3 or 4 of them over the course of my college career to pay for booze and stuff. And one of the times I did it, you're just sitting in a room for like 2-3 hours answering questions that someone put together, and you're supposed to represent the market based on their selection of the people participating. And you're usually in a group of 15 to 20 people.
Based on the desperate college kid that wants some booze money. You're
Bingo.
a great buyer of this future product who has no fucking money, which is
Companies
exactly
so much for these. So
yeah.
much. They pay
But
50 to 100 grand for these.
But that's a prime example of what's your alternative? Okay, it's like, okay, you run some sort of market research study. You could potentially find a decent event where your audience is there, depending on what you sell, what market you're going after. There, you may or may not be able to find industry events. If you can, those are great use of funds, assuming you're going to show up and actually work the damn event and not just sit back in the corner and sit on TikTok all day, but like actually go trick or treat if you're type of customers are the sponsors, which by the way is a great strategy, or have a booth or sponsor an event or whatever where people are going to actually come up to you and ask you what you do. But not everyone's blessed with that, right? Like, you sell a product or service to someone that's not going to attend some of those things. So what are you going to do? Send emails, do LinkedIn? It is very, very difficult. Look at the data to get enough information in a short period of time. The fastest path is to pick up the phone, reach the 10 to 15%, which is probably the easiest way to present these days. Sometimes a little lower, sometimes a little bit higher, but let's say it's 10 to 50% that you can get on the phone and 3 to 5 dials all day long, all day long. Like there's not many channels that allow for that with the precision, right? If I want to go and get 100 targeted conversations with my next best customers, I can go find 1,000 of my dream list customers and go and guarantee 100 of those conversations with an expert on my team. You as the founder or, the next best person that can make those calls.
Amen. All right. Well, enough beating this horse dead. If you're watching this and you're thinking about best ways to go to market to expand a new product line, reach out to us. This is what we're doing. We're able to do this rapidly, and we're developing right now actually a new product line in line with all the stuff we already do, where we're able to do this within 30 days to give you an initial sample, initial test of what your market response would be. That's kind of equivalent to probably a year's worth of having all the work done in house, finding an SDR, doing the outreach, seeing what they say. We'll do it in a month, 4 weeks, 30 days. If that sounds interesting, reach out, get a hold of us on LinkedIn, you can email us. All the stuff will be in the description. But as always, I'm Ronen Pessar. This is Ryan Reiser. We're the Outbound Operators. If you enjoyed this episode, hit subscribe and always drop a comment below if you loved or hated it. We'll see you on the next one.
Fuck it. Bucket.